Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the 5-Minute Farby. Do you ever feel like God forgot about you? Do you ever get the feeling that things are just not going good for you and that God's just not around? Perhaps He forgot. Perhaps He doesn't care. In our difficulties and our hard times, it's very easy to question. The Jewish people have been through some very difficult times as a nation and individually. So where's God during all of this? Our sages teach us that when Mashiach comes, the Jewish people will be renewed like the moon. We learn that in the times of the exile, the Jewish people are likened to the moon as a receiver or makabel, and God is likened to the sun or a mashpia or a giver, and that the light of the moon is diminished during the times of the exile, but in the times of the redemption, the moon will shine brightly just like the sun does. And therefore the Jewish people will be renewed like the moon when Mashiach comes. In fact, the ultimate culmination, the ultimate completion of the Jewish people in the time of exile was during the times of King Shlomo, known as King Solomon. King Shlomo ruled across the entire world. The Beis HaMikdash was established. Kings and rulers from all over the world would come and visit King Shlomo and bring him gifts. The entire world recognized the Jewish people and King Shlomo as God's bearers of the message of peace and goodness throughout the entire world, and everything was good. In fact, King Shlomo lived exactly 15 generations after the first Jew, Avraham. And we know from the Torah that everything is hashgacha pratis. There's no such thing as a coincidence, because the number 15 also is indicative of the day of the month when the moon is at its completion. Every single month, we see the moon, a full moon comes when it's at the halfway through the month of the Jewish month, on the 15th of the month. So the Rebbe asks a question. If the moon is at its fullest at the 15th of the month, and in fact, in the first of the month, Rosh Chodesh, which is just like today is Rosh Chodesh Kislev, the moon is in fact not visible. Every single Rosh Chodesh, the moon renews itself. It starts out as you don't see it at all. And then it continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger until the 15th, where it's fully revealed and it's at its completion. And then it continues to get smaller and smaller and smaller until the end of the month. And this process of waxing and waning goes forth every single month. The moon gets renewed on the first of the month, of the Hebrew month, like today, Rosh Chodesh Kislev. And then it continues to get bigger until the 15th of the month. And then it descends once again and becomes smaller until the first of the month, where you no longer see it again. So the Rebbe asked a question. Why do our sages say that when Mashiach comes, the Jewish people will be renewed like the moon? Because the moon is renewed on the first of the month. And on the first of the month, you don't see it. It's not visible. So in fact, our sages should actually say that when Mashiach comes, the Jewish people will be complete like the moon. Like on the 15th of the month, when the moon is at a full state. Just like the times during King Shlomo, when the Jewish people were at a state of completion. So what seems to be wrong with this question? So first, to understand this, we have to understand a basic concept of Chassidus and Kabbalah. That is the difference between atzmos, or essence and being, and gilui, or revelation. Just to understand this a little bit better, if you were able to sit together on the sun without burning up, you're able to sit on the sun, you wouldn't see the sun's rays because you're connected to the essence of the sun. We see the sun's rays because the sun is far away from us. Another example, let's say you're embraced, you're in a hug with someone you love, and you're hugging them tightly. At that moment, you couldn't describe what they look like or what they're wearing because you're together with them, you're one with them. In fact, the further away that person gets, the more you're able to see them, and the more clearly you could describe what they look like. That is because they're further away. You are now connected to something called gilui, or revelation, instead of being one together with them, otherwise known as atzmos, or very being, or essence. So the truth of the matter is that the reason we see the moon at its completion on the 15th of the month is because it's the furthest away from the sun. And therefore it's a full moon because it's completely visible. And the reason we don't see the moon at all at the beginning of the month, Rosh Chodesh, the first of the month, is because then the moon is completely one with the sun. it's closest to the sun at the beginning of the month, and furthest from the sun in the middle of the month. When it's renewed, it's completely one with the sun. When it's complete, it's the furthest away from the sun. So in essence, what has been happening with the Jewish people throughout history is that after 15 generations from Avraham to King Shlomo, the Jewish people reached their state of completion, so to speak, for the exile. And from that moment forward, history has shown us that things seem to be getting darker. The first temple was destroyed. The second temple was destroyed. Exile. We went through the Inquisition, the Holocaust. All these horrible things the Jewish people have gone through became darker. But the truth of the matter is, what has been really happening is we're getting closer and closer to God. We're getting closer and closer to Mashiach, to the full and final redemption. Because from our state of completion of being revealed, we're now getting closer to the essence. Just like the moon is getting closer to the essence of the sun as it gets closer to its renewal at the beginning of the month. So the reality is that even though it feels good and it's nice when God reveals himself to us, when he's present in our lives, when we're able to see how God is there with us, the truth is that's when he's the furthest away. God is constantly playing a game of hide and seek with his children and with all of creation. And when he's furthest from us, we see him. And it's nice. But when it's dark, guess what? We're closer to the essence of God. When it seems to be dark, when our life is difficult, God is holding us tightly like this, together one. Don't think for a second, God forbid, that God has forgotten about us or he's not with us. In fact, he's with us stronger than he's ever been. And it's the same thing with the Rebbe. Don't think, God forbid, that after Gimel Tammuz, the Rebbe is no longer with us. The problem is, before Gimel Tammuz, we saw the Rebbe with our physical eyes. So, oh, the Rebbe's here. But we saw a revelation. We saw something that was further away. Now we're connected to something much deeper, something much closer. We're connected to the very essence and being of the Rebbe and of Hashem. So we know that when Mashiach comes, God's very essence will be revealed. Mashiach's very essence will be revealed. And the very essence of the Jewish people will be revealed. And we will see clearly how we are truly one with God. God bless you, Mashiach now.